So welcome to the first ever Blue video. So this was a game that was made in 48 hours back in October the 5th. It was an entry for Doodle Day 45, and this will be the benchmark against which I can compare where I came from and how much I've improved. So if you're wondering what is this little green triangle and this little blue triangle doing here, I got bored and I wanted to color in the mask, and I thought, whoa, wait a second, why don't I just color in each triangle for each color video I've made? So it's like a pat on the back for myself. So this little green triangle is for the first tutorial video I've made, and this little blue one is for this video. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into it.
Okay, so the music you're about to hear is complete crap. I don't know how to make music, and I believe I'm never gonna learn because making games is already taking up so much time. I think making music is beyond the scope of what I'm aiming for, because making music is really something that you have to be talented at and spend a lot of time on. So basically the theme of the Doodle Day was start with nothing. So I originally wanted to make a game about a guy that runs around and picks up guns and shoots zombies. But I went with superpowers because that is much easier to implement, as my experience is very limited at this time. So there you can see I made some laser particle effects, and checked out a Bracky's tutorial about making lasers with line rendering. So what you're seeing here is the nav mesh generator of Unity. So it kind of feels like a cheat, because you press like one button, you just tell Unity how high a step can be that a AI can walk on, and it automatically generates the nav mesh against which AIs can walk, and it's too simple, and I kind of feel guilty, but I don't think it's against the rules. So you just call like a function and tell the AI where it should walk to, and that's done. That's the biggest thing if I had to program it myself. So naturally, when you have a single damage ability, you have to get an ability that does AoE damage, and that is the meteor. You're seeing over here the yellow ball with particles emitting from the back of it. Okay, so here I'm starting with the designing of the simple houses. It's like a house that the first house you've ever drawn in kindergarten. And that's how you start with 3D modeling. You start all over in kindergarten again, only you're now on a computer. So even though it's so simple looking, I still had a tough time modeling it, especially this house that had like a garage or something, whatever you want to call it. And here I'm using Bosca Sea Oil to make the music you're listening to now. And I even spent a fair amount of time on it, and it still came out sounding like this. So there's the power-ups. Each one has its own unique light, and that's what gives you the laser. The red one's the laser, yellow is the meteor, and the blue is the flying. Also corresponding to the bars over there. So look at that basic interface being made. It hurts my eyes looking at it. Some basic low poly trees and some fences. And now comes the fun part. When you've got all the game objects and you just level design. Look how quickly you can assemble a level from game assets. Boom. Instantly. As long as you have the game objects made. The prefabs. Nice view from the top there. You can just search zombie and you can see exactly where they are spawning. everything else turns grey once you type something into the search bar. Makes it really easy to find whatever you're looking for. So the biggest problem within this game, programming wise, is there is absolutely no modularity. There's no inheritance of any classes whatsoever. It's just copy-pasted code, copy-pasted enemies, and it was such a drag. I knew inheritance existed, but I couldn't spend time learning how to inherit classes, and so much time was wasted. But at the time of speaking now, I know how inheritance works, and it makes making games so much easier, and it saves a lot of time. Okay, so the biggest tip I would give someone that is in a game jam is to set some time apart at the end to playtest your game. Because I playtested my game, I had an hour to tune it, the variables like the spawn rate and all that stuff, and the player movement speed. It was so slow and boring and easy that hour that I played gave me the opportunity to fine-tune the game and make it more exciting, because the zombies could never catch on to the player, and it was very slow paced. But that little hour that I set aside to playtest the game made a world of a difference. It's not the same game within 1 hour of tweaking. It was very crucial to make it at all fun. So ironically enough, the only accolades I received for this game in the comments was the sound effects that I made, and it was made in one of the last half hours of designing the game. So yeah, if I didn't have sound in it, I would have an even worse score. So let's take a look at the ratings. So here is the games page. Richard Flying Superpowers Man. I'm so creative at giving games names. So the overall score was 364th. Now let's get some reference. Doodle 45 stats, and I was in the compo. The compo is the one where you are solo for 2 days. 728. So I am 364. That is exactly in the middle. So I am the super average guy, right in the center of a bell curve, as statistics would go. So a tip that I would also give is make sure your game is playable. I released only this link, the source code, and people couldn't play it. They said there wasn't they couldn't download the game or whatever, and I had already played through like 6 games, and then I got 6 ratings whilst people were still saying they can't play the game. So don't be too eager to play other people's games yet, because that would make your game available for other people to vote. Just make sure first that you can download the game and play it. I was a complete noob. I didn't know how to put the game up on here. So yeah, I just put it on itch.io and you're done. So like I said in my first ever video, I had minimal experience in Blender and Unity, and that was like 2 years ago, and that was when I made my first ever game for Lurende, and it's super basic, and it is over here. Bob white shit. So basically this game is just this guy running around from the left to the right to the left to the right, and he just triggers an area, and once you walk into the area you just add the score. So that's super basic, and yet still this game did a lot better than my superpowers red shit guy. Almost half a star, basically half a star more than the Superpowers game, and that is a lot. That's 10% increase. So I would bet that this game did better because of the better UI. As you can see here, it's much more cartoony and fun, and it looks a little bit more polished just because the UI looks better, and it's still simple. Let me go down here and show you. That's the game over UI. It's still pretty crap, but it's a lot better than the game I have now. The game I have now is UI. That looks absolutely horrific, but that is my theory. It just looks a little bit better. And that brings us to the end of this video. If you made it this far, I can't believe it. Well done, you've got some perseverance. If I was at all entertaining, if you learned anything, I would be so glad. But so this game is probably the last game that I will be making within Unity. And stick around for the next diary entry to find out why. So thanks for watching, guys, and if you can give me some tips on improving what you don't want to hear me talk about, what you want me to do talk about, give me some tips and I'll see what I can do. Alright guys, till next time, cheers.